What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday to you. I hope you had a great weekend. And I know I did. 2 out of 3 from the Angels at home. So that's always a good weekend for the Guards. I hope you guys have a great week up ahead of you. Welcome into another episode of Living the Guard Life. I'm Jacob. That's Nick. Down below is Roger. We're brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Homage Apparel, the best apparel company on the business. Check out a link down in the description down below. It'll take you to their Guardians collection. You can check that out. Gentlemen, how are we doing this? Recording this fine Sunday evening.
Hello. It is wonderful to be back. I just want to say a quick thank you to both of these wonderful, I can't point in the right direction, both of these wonderful people here for carrying the load while I was gone. I have missed you. I've missed baseball. I'm caught up now. I'm ready to talk about Guards. It's great to be back.
Nick, while you were gone, I was getting your salary. So don't feel too bad.
You deserve
the work I put in. I was getting double pay. Nick, I missed you. I'm glad you're back. We had a great weekend of baseball. Man, the bats started to come alive. Go ahead, Jacob, man. I'm doing good. You know what? I'm happy because we're playing, Guards baseball's going on. We got Little League going on, and it's baseball season, baby. I love it.
You got another nice opportunity to try to start riding some ships. Heading to Chicago for a 3-game series with the White Sox coming up. An under 500 team. Anytime you see an opportunity, in which I get it, the Guards are an under 500 team right now as well. But anytime you see the opportunity, you win 2 in a row as they have right now. Go get a nice, really nicely positioned off day here after the homestand, so that they don't have to travel, the day after, and then got 3 with the Sox, and then heading up a little bit north to New York. But just a great weekend, man. Like overall, bats really came to life. I got really confused on Friday. I thought they had won.
Yeah.
I was really confused. Well, I saw something that said they won 5-4, and then like somebody was like, no, because I wasn't watching Friday's game. I was out doing a few errands after work, and I had saw it like, oh, Naylor hits a walk-off home run or something is what it's what my notification said. I swear to God. So I tweeted about it. And I was like, this is awesome. And then Roger's like, nah, man, not what happened. And I was like, oh, but then 3 straight bottom of the 8th inning home runs from Josh Naylor, who adequately this episode is named after Josh Naylor being red hot. And that is exactly, Roger, that is exactly what you and I talked about on last week's pod. You've got to find a way to jumpstart this offense, and it feels like Josh Naylor is at least trending in the direction of jumpstarting this, because you got 4 runs, 8 runs, and 4 runs. That is the best stretch in a long time for the Guards in terms of offensive output for consecutive games.
Yeah.
It's really.
Go ahead, Nick.
I just, you know what? I think I picked my correct time to miss the shows because I went away and so did the offense. I'm just saying. But it's nice. It's nice to be back here and to be able to talk about actual hits and runs and wins. You know what? I think the Guardians started off quickly in the first like 10-ish games of the year, right? And I think we collectively all were like, okay, well, typically when we entered the season and said, okay, the Guardians normally start slow. And then when the first 10 games go by, we're like, maybe this is a fast year. And all of a sudden things kind of go back to what I think we know as normal early season Guardians baseball, right? Like we've seen them struggle to hit, especially in spring, especially when the weather's cold. And I don't think it's going to be perfect moving forward, but we've seen this happen enough times to where the weather warms up and so do the bats, that I'm more inclined to be faithful that this is going to continue than to say, okay, actually the Guardians were just overperforming last year and they're really not that good anyway. Like I believe, and I think it was Roger who was telling other people, trust in Tito.
Trust in Tito. We had 11 hits Friday night. They're swinging the bats, and the ball's starting to find holes. Rosario was 3 for 5. Ramirez was 2 for 3. Jimenez was 3 for 4. And Naylor, they're going to start. It's going to be the 5th, 6th, 7th, Naylor, 9th innings from now on in baseball. They're petitioning MLB to change the name to just Naylor of the 8th inning. Man, wow. How about that, man? He's done something that I don't think they were talking today. They can't find any record of somebody doing that 3 nights in a row in the 8th inning to lift their team, either to put them ahead. Every one of his home runs put us ahead. That's amazing. That's amazing. They're just hitting the ball, and they're contact hitters. You know what? If we were big hitters, if we were home run hitters, if we had a stack lineup and they were just swing for the fences guy, I'd be worried. I'd be really worried. But they're contact hitters. They make contact. If you swing the bat and you make contact, the ball's going to find holes, and that's what's happening right now. We had 11 hits. I think we had 12 on Saturday, and we had 9 more or 8 more today. They're starting to hit the ball, and they start doing that. And the defense got sloppy. I think it was last night. They got a little sloppy, but they buckled down, and defense is a big part of our game. We're looking better behind the plate. Friday night, Jacob, hey, Roger, what happened? I thought we won. And I was like, no, man, I'm worried about Class A. They're hitting the ball. His barrel percentage, they're getting the barrel of the bat on the ball, and they're hitting the ball hard, something we didn't see last year. He is being does a lot of work. I'm not going to say overused, but he's used a lot. He's not hitting his spots. I think right now today, if I had to worry about one thing, it's I'm worried about Emmanuel Class A right now.
Okay.
Guys are getting the bat on the ball on him.
I thought it was at least encouraging that he was up at 100 miles an hour again. His velocity seemed to be up, and so I was like, okay, this could be a good thing. But like you said, Roger, they're just finding ways to hit him in ways we haven't seen yet.
His velocity's always been there. It's his location is where he's missing, and he steady works with that side of the plate, and he works in a vertical line. And if he's not hitting his spots, they're hitting him. And when you're throwing the ball 100 miles an hour and it's coming off the bat, and you get the barrel on it, it's leaving the yard or it's coming off the bat at 100 some miles an hour too. So I hope they get him worked out. He's not caught. I mean, by no means he's got most saves in baseball. No means is he killing us or doing bad. It's just not. He's human right now. It's not what we're used to seeing from him. I think maybe I'm just getting a little crazy, but it's not what we're used to seeing from him facing batters. He's dominant when he's on, and you can't hit him.
His name escapes me right now, but a previous Guardian would just take us on such a wild ride when he came in to close out games.
Wickman? Bob Wickman, or there was Bob Wickman was something, man. He'd take you, and then there was a guy on the 2007 team that went to the ALCS and lost. Our closer on that, I forget his name. But I know who you're talking about. He didn't throw fast. He didn't throw hard. He's throwing junk balls all over the place. And, he'd give up 4 hits in the 9th and, get out of it with a save somehow. I can't. I'm bad with coming up with names.
Names are escaping us tonight. But that's okay because we're winning. We're winning games. And you know what I did? I also thought they won Friday. Like I looked away and because we were ahead. I remember it was 3-3 and then we went ahead, correct?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, we're good here. And I came back and I was like, what the hell happened?
Yeah. Allen, he started the game and he's a young kid. He only went 4 1/3 inning. He gave up 8 hits and 3 runs. But you're going to see that with our young starters. They're going to have those. And then they come back and, they have give up 2 hits in 7 innings. And it's going to be back and forth like that a little bit. We hit the ball. We had 11 hits. We got the lead, and Class A came in and he blew the save.
Okay.
But you know what? I didn't. Even though he blew the save, I felt good after that game Friday night because we had so many hits in the way the offense was playing. You know what? That was a win all the way up until Class A making a mistake. Then we go into Saturday, right? Game 2.
Yeah, and I think when you start to find ways to trend in the direction that you need to be trending, you can take those small victories. You're looking at a situation where it's like, I was just saying to you guys, like talking about this series in terms of scoring, and I said, well, we look at this and I say, this seems like, okay, so you had 4, 8, and 4. Well, let's listen. These are their run production prior to the Angels series. You saw 0, 2, 2, 2, 4, 0, 3, 2, 3, 1.
pain.
Yeah.
That's their runs scored in the games prior to this Angels series. And they win several of those games 2-0 even, like they're winning a lot of those games. And so if you're losing a game 5-4 when you're not scoring 5 runs but across 2 games very often,
Right.
you're definitely seeing that. And I think that is important, like you said, to highlight is just, hey, it's not where it needs to be. You're 19-21, but it's also May 14th. And, Naylor's starting to hit the hell out of the ball. And Bybee just showed I know we're not there yet. I know we're not to today's game yet, but Bybee showing, hey, he was human last time. He's still really stinking good.
Yep.
And he went out there and showed it. I'm telling you what, when he gets that curve working, it's filthy, man. It's just straight.
Yeah.
Filthy.
And I think you're talking about progressing along the weekend here. I think after Friday, that's why Saturday was so encouraging, right? Because it was a game where you really felt reminded about last year's team. They come back late. You're scoring 8 runs. It's one of those things where they just battle, work, and of course you get that clutch. Just like last year, that clutch hitting from Naylor, which was awesome to see.
It was incredible. They had 12 hits. Quan was 3 for 3. Rosario was 3 for 4. Wow. Ramirez was 2 for 4. And hitting's contagious, man. And you see that dugout get fired up. And then Naylor goes yard. I got to tell you, Saturday night, we're losing, right? I order a pizza. The kids and the wife, they get Chinese. So I order a Sicilian pie from Mark and Phillies, man. I only get one for a year. Because they're so good, I don't want to ruin it. I look forward to them, and so I pick a spot when they have Chinese or I'm home alone or something. And man, I'm driving, and we start getting the 4 base hits in a row. Well, I'm almost to the pizza place, right? I go around the block, so I go around Lincoln Elementary. I'm on Bailey Road, and Naylor comes up, and I got the windows down. Now I got Hammy full cranked, right? Oh, yeah. And he hits the shot, and he bled. Well, there's 2 people walking their dog crossing the street. I'm sitting at a stop sign, and the guy's got a Guardians hat and a T-shirt on. And I'm like pumping my fist. He's like, "What happened?" And I turned on the radio, and I gave him the update. Cool. And him and his wife were like, "Yeah, the dog starts barking." And then I went and got my pie and watched the game close out. I'm giving updates on Cuyahoga Falls on Bailey Road, man.
That's a funny, unrelated to baseball, because it just kind of made me think of this one story. I like to when I'm doing things at work or other places that I get frustrated, if I'm alone, I will yell, but not at somebody. I'll just be like, oh, F this, why are you always effing mess with, something like that. And it just lets me get the anger out so that I can be professional and a decent human being. And the other day, I was driving and somebody said something over my radio during an event, and I got upset and I screamed, "Are you effing kidding me?" And I had the windows down that time, and I had no idea. And I saw someone just jump, and they were like, and I was just like, "Oh God!" And I just sped off.
You ask my kids and my wife, they'll tell you I'm constantly bitching at something. I'm constantly, why ain't you working right? What the? Shaq's like, "Hey, you're so grumpy." I know I'm not grumpy. I'm just yelling at it so it work right,
So, hey, and if it works, who cares?
But man, it was cool, man. These people, they were cheering, and man, what a game! And Saturday night, man, it was a good feeling because, like Nick, like you said, it felt like last year's team where there's no quit in them, and I left to go get the pizza, and I'm like, man, I'm bummed out, and I'm driving and base hit, and man, it was great. Saturday night, what a great win. And Jacob, that was your guy, Quantrill. He was bobbing and weaving again for 6, but he's hanging in there. Dave Burba Jr. I don't know why, Nick, I said last week on the show, he reminds me of Dave Burba that we had here in Cleveland. He don't look like him, doesn't do anything like him, but for some reason to me, he's Dave Burba. Because he'll go out and give 3 hits and have a stellar performance one night, and then he'll give 12 hits and 6 runs and get knocked around the ballpark the next,
And I compared him to when I used to watch the Reds a ton.
Yeah.
Bronson Arroyo was just like that after he came from the Red Sox to the Reds. Arroyo would go out there and throw like a one hitter, and then the next. I remember one time he threw like a two hit shutout through a full, complete game, through all 9 innings, 2 hits, shut him out. He got chased after 1 inning the next start because he allowed 10 runs to the Toronto Blue Jays in the first inning. And he had just hit a complete game 2-hitter. And you were just like, but I'll tell you this. I said this to you last week, Roger. Listen, I need Cal Quantrill to be a quality starter. Well, what's the definition of a quality start? A quality start, 6+ innings with 3 or less run baseball. He gave you 6 innings of 3-run baseball.
That's what he did. He did 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. He put in a journeyman, your number 5 starter type, outing. And you just got to put some runs up on the board for him. Yeah.
And they won,
They won, right.
Whoever ends up, it doesn't matter if he's the winning pitcher or not. If he goes out there and starts a game where he gives you a quality start that you win, right now, Nick, Roger and I talked about this last week, and I'm a big Quantrill fan, and I said, you're without Tristan McKenzie, you're without Aaron Savali, you're trying to piece together a rotation right now because 2 of your better pitchers, and we can argue a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Veterans, yes, because we can argue that maybe Pybee should be there over some other guys, but whatever. We'll talk about that when guys come back. Yeah. But, you were expected, especially from Tristan McKenzie, you really expected some big things from McKenzie. And I still think he'll be able to deliver that when, in a few weeks when he's able to finally, tote the rubber. And from all accounts of what I've heard, it sounds like he is still trending in that right direction. There haven't been any setbacks yet. So we'll see how that goes. But you just gotta be able to grit some of these out. And you have to be able to win games where you let up 6 runs. You've got to be able to get some of those. And we haven't seen the Guardians do very much of that. If their opposing team gets 5-6 runs for most of the season, you have felt like it's pretty much over. No matter what inning it's in. It could be 5-0 in the second inning, and you're just like, I don't know if the Guards can score 6.
No.
And so they capitalized in a situation where Quantrill lets up 3 in the 6 innings. Los Santos, is that who it was? Yeah. He lets up the 1 run in the ending. He comes in after. And then the other runs were unearned, right? Yeah. So you're sitting in that situation where your first 2 arms out let up 4 runs, in 7 innings. And so you're like, okay, what are we going to, and you did. You finally battled back, and you did. And that was why Saturday's game was the most encouraging game I think I've watched in a month.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think obviously the Naylor's performance has been fantastic, but the way that Andres Jimenez followed that home run up with one of his own when Jacob, in reference to the pitching struggles, it's like, you guys, we got to produce some runs. Our pitching staff is beaten up right now. Shane Bieber has been, up and down a little bit. Yeah. And so I just think you desperately need that run support. And so for Jimenez, who, is just got paid and hasn't had a stellar start thus far, I really liked seeing him be able to come up there and follow it up with his own home run.
Yeah, he hammered that upper deck right field, man. He tore into it. His went further than Naylor's did.
And that was just his 3rd home run of the year.
And they were feeling it. And here's the thing about there. Like I said earlier, if we had just nothing but a lineup of big bats and our shortstop was supposed to hit 40, I'd be worried because they're not station guys. We got base hit. We had 4 base hits in a row. It set the table, and we're moving guys around. Do you know that we're stealing bases? This is funny. I heard Tito. We're 85% of bases. We're stealing at an 85% clip. Wow. And he said, imagine if we were hitting the ball, how many bases we'd be stealing. That was Tito, and he's right. And now that they're hitting the ball, and they're as aggressive as they run the bases. Amid Rosario did make a big mistake. when he tried to take third on the Quan, scored it. But nobody in the dugout told Emid Rosario not to try to do that again because they're aggressive. I promise you, Tito didn't say a word to him because he wants him to be aggressive. He wants him to run the bases like that. You know, maybe not to that extent and make that mistake, but you know, I'm sure nobody told. You know, I'm sure Tito didn't tell him. He didn't say a word to him because he wants him to be aggressive. He wants those guys to run the bases like they do, because that's how they win baseball games. You know, you put pressure on those guys getting them ground balls. We had an error on the short, you know, it was a big error that led to runs because they know that they have to field it cleanly and get the ball, you know, out of their glove and make a play because we're leaving the box in a hurry and we're going down the first base line. We're gonna run the base pass, you know, and a defense knows that, and it causes mistakes if they're not sound defensively.
As we head in to today. As we get there, I think there's two real big positives here because I was curious to see how the Guardians would respond to some struggles. Do you still see them doing the whatever the secret sign is to one another when good things are happening? So you like to see that. You like to see that out of their mentality that even when they're struggling, you know, they're still in a good place team-wise. So that's encouraging. And the other good part is that the Twins are at the top of your division at 23-18. They're playing a little over 500 ball right now, despite the fact that you know the Guardians have had their struggles. The division's still absolutely wide open right there for you.
Well, and you took 2 out of 3 from them, and then you know obviously you really wanted to try to take 2 out of 3 from Detroit, and you weren't able to get it, but then you bounce back, take 2 out of 3 from the Angels, and you just Roger and I talked about this like. It had been a while since you were winning series. Like you had lost. You were getting swept, but
Washington.
You were losing series.
You were just the last time we won one before we won the Twins.
Yeah. So now your last 3, you've won the last two out of your last 3 series.
Yeah.
That's something to build upon. And man, like I know I already said this, but Bibee going out there today was just, boy, that makes you feel good because you don't know where a kid at that age is mentally after getting rocked for the first time at the big league level. And it wasn't like he went out there and let 10 runs in 2 innings or anything like that. But it was significantly worse than his other 2 appearances on the bump. And I told Roger I thought it was kind of funny that they were talking about hey, hadn't walked anybody. And he walks the leadoff batter in that start. And I was like, maybe we shouldn't have talked about that the whole time, like lead up to the first for the first batter. But you don't want to see that snowball to where he's letting up 4 and 5 runs every start and he's got to go back down and that sort of thing. And like with Logan Allen's gotten some things out as well. And it's been really nice to watch him throw the ball. But seeing Bibee, who I think all of us can agree, he's the pitching prospect we were all hoping for. He was the one we all were ready to see and excited to see. And he goes out there, has 2 great starts, has a fine start where he struggles, goes out there, just has a brilliant start today. And it just makes me feel like I told Roger I thought pitching was really starting to get it under control last week in our show. And I think I saw plenty more to feel that way going into this week.
I think his last outing was against the Tigers, and he had he went 3 2/3. He gave up 7 hits and 4 runs, and but he bounced right back. He went 7 2/3. He gave up 2 hits and 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts today. And like we said earlier in the show, these young guys are going to go. Batters are going to watch film on their last outing. They're going to say, okay, he's attacking this corner, this part of the plate. He's throwing his because when his fastball's on, forget it. Nobody's going to hit him. You know, the hitters are sitting watching, you know, yesterday they're watching what he did his last outing and how they're going to attack him. And it's just a game of adjustments back and forth. Every outing, you know, every man, these guys put so much time and so much work into scouting who they're facing next. And the pitchers, you know, you imagine a hitter, you got one guy you got to worry about where every time you go out, you got, you know, 9 of them, you know, to figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to attack each one of them. He's a phenomenal young pitcher, man. Like I said, it's pitcher university. I wish we could develop power hitters and corner outfielders like we do pitchers and middle infielders. And we'd have a bunch of World Series. But I'll take the pitching. In the end, when you get to September and October, you better have a healthy staff and bullpen. Because you can have all the hitters in the world, and you can look back at 1995 Murderers Row that we put against Atlanta. They had the pitching, and they won the World Series. Good pitching always wins.
I think too, especially when you consider where the Guardians staff is right now, that they're getting pretty good pitching considering the injuries. And so you look at it and you say, I still have a ton of faith that the bats are going to wake up. I was looking at the stats from today's game. Naylor was your only batter with 2 hits, but you're still getting hits out of Miles Straw, which I think is a big deal. And Stephen Kwan as your leadoff guy, he's been consistent too. And I think that's a big part of, like, obviously with what the Guardians do, Roger, like Stephen Kwan being a consistent hitter is so important. And Ahmed is flirting with getting hot, right? So I think if you start getting those two consistently going, I think all of a sudden there's gonna be a lot more runs than there's been.
I know everybody calls for Amid Rosario's head. I think part of it is they believe that Jimenez is going to move over. Jimenez is playing second base until he goes into Cooperstown, if that's how good he is. I don't think he'll ever play shortstop for the Guardians.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know what the hate is with Amid Rosario because he's a professional hitter. His bats don't get shipped to Progressive Field till mid-May. Amid Rosario's going to hit, and he's going to hit the baseball. And he's going to, and Tito, he has 2 things in his corner that nobody else has. And he has Jose Ramirez and Tito Francona love him. He hustles every play. Watch him in the dugout. He's a team guy. I love Amid Rosario. I don't care. He's my shortstop on this baseball team. And I don't think Tito loves him. He's not going anywhere. And he's not moving out of the 2-hole. He's a professional hitter. He sets the table. And I'll tell you what, the Angels did it. They did it twice. They pitched around Jose Ramirez to get to Josh Naylor today. They pitched around him, right? And
whoops.
Yeah. I don't think any teams are going to do that this week anyway. I don't think the White Sox are going to pitch around to get the Naylor this week anyway.
I hope they do.
But they're starting to hit, Nick, like you said. They're going to hit the baseball. I'm not worried about the hitting at all. Right now, my biggest concern is the bullpen. They're starting to shape up. And I said earlier in the show, my concern lies with Class A, and he's human right now. He's not. Sure. He's still closing out games. He's still phenomenal, but he's not untouchable. You talked about number 61, Bybee, and he went his last outing. He went 3 2/3. Like I said, 7 hits. He gave up 4 runs today. He bounced back 7 2/3, 2 hits, 1 earned runs, and 7 strikeouts. I was working out in the garage. I forgot it was an early time. I got set to listen to the pregame, put in my earbuds. It was like the 8th inning. I was like, oh, what happened? I forgot the game was on early. But we had 7 hits again today. So that's 30 hits. We averaged 10 hits this weekend. We had 30 hits over 3 games. So we averaged 10 hits per game this weekend. Yeah. That's turning around. That's hitting the baseball.
You love to see them do that hits for the homestand too. Like in front of the fans, get people excited. Like, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Guys, it was a great weekend of baseball. Before my computer decides to crap on me again, I think we'll put a bow and a ribbon on this one. Off day today before taking on the White Sox in Chicago. So I think it's going to be another great week. Guys, I'm so happy you all joined us here. Please hit that subscribe, the thumbs up, helps us out in the algorithm so more people can see this show.
Jacob, one last question to end the show with. How many more Living the Guard Life shows until Bo Naylor is a Cleveland Guardian?
Well, boy, it's going to get awfully hard not to do it. If Zunino, yeah.
I'm giving it 3 shows. 3 shows until Bo Naylor's a Cleveland Guardian.
3 shows. So you're saying by June he's going to be a Guardian?
Yes,
By
I
about mid-June.
I have him at the All-Star break.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I'm not even gonna lie. I was gonna say All-Star break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
And I think they're hoping they can hold out that long.
Yeah. They might not be able
They
to.
might not be able
We'll
to.
find out. Usually when you have a guy like Zunino, he's hitting. Like last week, I said he wasn't hitting, which he actually is. His numbers say he's hitting. But I think for me, the way he plays defense is taking away. I don't care what he does at the plate when you're not, well, I don't know. It's an important thing to Tito. I'd love to see Bo Naylor up here. What did I say last week, Jacob? If his defense is the problem, like that they're worried he's not there defensively, then hell, bring him up because he can't be any worse.
He can't be any worse, no.
Than Zunino. Like the other two, Gallagher's sound. He's defensively sound back there. He's not throwing anybody out, but he's not getting, he's keeping the ball in front of him. But I'd love to see Naylor up. I hope you're right, Nick.
I hope we'll see where it goes. By the next time we talk to you all, they will have played the White Sox and the Mets. A couple of big series here, so we're going to learn a lot between now and then. Weather's warming up. I predict the bats are going to warm up. I predict we're going to come back to more wins than losses.
We got Frankie Lindor coming to town hitting 223.
Sure do. Can't
There
wait.
it is, huh? I'll take Rosario and Jimenez any day in that trade.
Absolutely.
Great trade. So
this has been episode
Something.
5.
7, 11,
7?
12. I don't know.
yeah.
Episode 7 of Living the Guard Life. I'm Nick. I can't point in the right direction. That's Jacob. He's Roger. Go Guards.
So good. Go Guards.
Oh.